What's up, everyone, and welcome to episode 261 of the Aussie Gamers Experience podcast. In the show this week, it's all about E3. So you know what? Editing Lucas, get in and play the track, brother. Let's go.
3, 2, 1, 0.
We recommend wearing headphones.
This is the Aussie Gamers
Experience.
News, reviews, and outlandish fun.
Experience it all.
Thanks for tuning in for the show this week. Today is Monday, the 17th of June, 2019. I am your host, Snoogs, and joining me once again for hosting duties is the one and only Grejio. How are you, bro?
I am well.
Well?
A bit E3 fatigued, but I'm getting there. Yeah, look, it's been a long week. I'm not going to lie.
It's been a week full of just information overload, I think.
Yeah, look, I'm looking at my 2 pages of notes, and I'm just like going, "Hooey, let's get started." It's going to be a long one, I think.
It's gonna be a bit. We'll not get in depth into everything because there is just so much there. It is literally a week of information to go through, but we'll dig into some of the bigger stuff. And just looking through my list, I don't think I have much from the PC gaming. I have one that's the important one.
Fortunately, my list is cut differently to yours because I expected a certain other person to be here, and I expected him to cover some certain things, but unfortunately he's not. So
that's all right. Lucas was going to join us, but he's got a crook little one, so hope she gets better soon. All right, well, let's just jump straight into it, mate. First off the bat this week, EA didn't have their big showcase this year, but they were still there. They were still showing nothing new. It was everything that we already knew about. The big one, let's just go over the quick stuff at EA. You've got FIFA 20, Madden 20, Apex Legends Season 2, Battlefield 5's got another chapter, which is called Defying the Odds, and they're all games that are around... The Sims 4 Island Living expansion. But the big one. The one we're all so excited for. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah, I know.
We got gameplay.
It's good.
We got trailers. We got news. And we got a release date.
And that's good too.
Yes. Did you happen to write it down? Because I didn't, by the looks of things.
You want to know something? I actually didn't, because once again I was like, nah, Pat's got that.
Yeah, Pat's got everything else but the release date.
It's soon though.
I think it was like November.
Yeah, November. That sounds right.
November sounds right.
Yes.
Sorry.
Well,
Editing Lucas.
Put that in right here. Sorry, man.
G'day everyone, Editing Lucas here, helping out with the release date for Jedi Fallen Order, and it is the 15th of November 2019. Back to you guys in the studio.
As we're tooling around here as well, a quick shout out to Radicus, who's joining us live in the chat, probably shaking his head in disgust at the professionalism levels. The trailer, or the gameplay, it sold me.
Totally. I have a lot of faith in this game now. Obviously, last year, when they first announced it, they were very slim on the details, and of course, being that Star Wars has had a pretty hit-and-miss track record of computer games, like there's some really good ones and there's also some really bad ones, and there's some in the middle. Obviously, we're all a bit, let's see where this is going. I look at it and I go, like we're on sort of Force Unleashed kind of territory. That's the good end of the spectrum to be on. There were some really cool bits and pieces that we saw, and just a little details that were like the killing the stormtrooper with his own blaster bolt. That was freaking awesome.
Shoots the blaster, slows everything down, Force grabs the trooper, and then holds him in front of the bolt. Oh,
yeah, that's some like Sith level badassery right there. I'm not even sure. I'm like, are you a Jedi really? If you're pulling that shit.
Well, because Order 66 has been enacted upon, and the Jedi have disbanded. Any Jedi that are left over have gone underground and hiding. So he technically doesn't have anyone training him. And what we see in the gameplay that was shown is he's with Sol Guerrera. And Sol's... He's not black or white. He's very much that grey area.
Yep.
So if he's got a lot of input into this, we're delving right into Star Wars lore and showing our true nerd. But if he's got a lot of sort of say in what happens, then I think we're going to walk a fine line.
Either way, I'm like, it looks good. Like, the combat looks pretty solid. The powers seem really cool. You get to drive as Radicus was saying, you get to drive a AT-AT. So, as he put it, boner time. Totally.
Yep, totally.
So, look, look, if you haven't watched the trailer already, this is one of the top ones you need to watch. Go watch it already. Especially if you're a Star Wars fan. If you're a Star Wars fan and haven't watched this, I'm starting to wonder. I'm starting to doubt where you've been for like the last week. But anyway, just
it
go,
would have
go do it
like
now.
it would have been my game of show if it hadn't been shown beforehand. That's enough for EA. The other stuff is your yearly sort of stuff that's ticking along. So let's jump straight into probably the biggest showcase of the week, which was Microsoft and of course Xbox. First thing out of the way, Scarlet has been confirmed. That's about it.
Yeah.
Holiday 2020.
Specs on it. Holiday 2020.
Specs, which there's a full breakdown of the specs and details on the website. And the specs that they said, I was watching it at the Xbox Green Carpet event, and the specs were they had me a little confused. Let's say they're going through the specs, and I'm like, I've heard this before. I've read these specifications before, and they're exactly the same as PS5 specs. One's might be playing closer to the chest. They've both got SSDs. But at this early stage, there's not a lot of information. All that we know is that it's floating around. It is being worked on, which we all knew, and we're looking at a release window of Holiday 2020. Being that you're more the Xbox boy, I'm going to throw it over to you.
All right. So the first game they showed was Outer Worlds, which I'm really excited for. It's got a release date of 25th of October this year, and it will be on Game Pass on launch.
Yes.
Which is... Actually, there's a lot of games in this list that have come up with this on Game Pass at launch. So 34 new games are launching this year on Game Pass. So as soon as they come out, they're on Game Pass. New game called Bleeding Edge. Think of Overwatch only with melees. So first person, 4v4. It's got a very cyberpunk style to it.
It's kind of like, Overwatch, but with that whole bit of Rage thrown in there, a bit of Borderlands as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That kind of cyberpunky style.
I think it's 3v3, not 4v4. Either way, I don't know how they got to that from Suena.
Right, editing Lucas, jumping in here. It's not Suena. It's Senua. Let's just stick with Sacrifice Blade. Commonly known to everybody else that gets it right as Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice. That's the game he's talking about. Back to you guys.
Yeah, I know. That was big sort of jump.
There's a massive switch, but it looks okay. It's not my cup of tea, and I think it's going to be like Overwatch, but a free-to-play version. Yeah, a lot of people are loving the look of it. Yeah. So yeah,
I think, and the differing point of not being a shooter and more a melee combat system, I think it'll be interesting. Nice, gritty, close-up battles. The thing with guns is you can camp and shit. Well, if you're in a melee fight, it's an all-in brawl. So fast-paced, I think it's going to be really fast-paced, really in-your-face, gritty. I think it's going to be good it is going to be a good one to watch as well, not just play. So, Ori and the Will-O-Wisp got a release date of Feb 11, 20.
Finally.
It will, yes. And
after like 3 E3s.
Yes, I know. It's terrible, which means, technically, we could get it again for another E3. Next E3, it could be up again, because it's not until... Oh, no,
February.
No, we'll be right. No, sorry, February, sorry.
Yeah, February 2020, yep.
February 2020. Anyway, it's on Game Pass at launch as well. Another one I saw, and I'm actually kind of a little bit excited for, Minecraft Dungeons. It's due out in spring 2020, which will be our autumn, so not very far away. For those that aren't sure what it is, it's a third-person top-down co-op RPG. Think Diablo, only in the Minecraft world. Looks fabulous. It looks like a lot of fun. So that should be good. I'll be surprised if that's also not a Game Pass game very shortly after release, if not on release. Another one that I thought you'd really like is the Blair Witch game. It's coming out August 30 this year.
Mm-hmm.
It's also a Game Pass on launch.
Yes.
So
and
not a great deal of information about it. It just had a trailer, and then.
But oh my god,
it looks creepy.
It looks awesome.
Yep. So definitely not my jam. Definitely your jam.
My jam. Definitely mine. Yep.
I might. So I've done this. I'm doing this pretty much in the order that it was done in the show. I might leave the next bit for later. I'm sure we'll want to talk about that a bit more.
Yep.
Spiritfarer is a new game. It'll be on Game Pass in 2020. It's very. I'm not sure how to really.
Is that the one where it was they on the little boat thing?
Yeah. It's
next. Don't worry about it. No.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I was looking at that. I was dumbfounded as even to what the hell that was. So, you don't even try and. I can't help you with trying to describe it.
Yeah, look, it's graphically very similar to Banner Saga, but you're a little girl on a boat, and apparently you're transporting spirits from the. Essentially, you're playing. What's the ferryman for the
ferryman?
Ferrying
he's the ferryman.
Is it just called the ferryman?
The ferryman. Yeah.
So essentially, you're playing that kind of role, and you're a little girl, and you.
Well, see, that kind of puts a cool spin on it.
Yeah.
Not this little child drawing thing.
I know, it wasn't very clear. I had to do some digging. But anyway.
Okay. Yep.
Next is Battletoads. So we found out that it'll be 3-player couch co-op. For those that don't know what it is, it's a side-scrolling brawler, a 2D side-scrolling brawler. Has a very Saturday. They called it the Saturday morning cartoon aesthetic.
100%.
So it looks. Yep. It literally looks like Saturday cartoon. For those that remember what a 90s Saturday cartoon looks like, not now. They're very different now. I know my kids watch them, and I'm like,
"What is this?"
Anyway, the next was Legends of the Right, which is a papercrafty sketch / I think a 2.5D kind of platformer. Anyway, it's out in 2020. It's weird. It was really hard to describe once again. Then they talked about Game Pass. Once again, 34 new games launching this year. Then they talked about Game Pass is now available on PC, so you can get
Game Pass Ultimate. Yep.
Well, there's the PC version, which is you can buy separately. So if you just want to have Game Pass on your PC, it's the same as Game Pass for Xbox. It's about $10 a month.
Okay. Yep.
And then you can now get Game Pass Ultimate, which includes Game Pass PC, and Gold Live. So it rolls everything into one thing. And I think me and Rem did the sums while I was talking about it, and essentially I think you get the PC Game Pass for free, essentially, by the time you pay it all out.
Yep.
So then we had a flight sim video, and that was all it was, but it looked amazing. I'm not going to lie. It was beautiful. It's got to be next gen for sure. I'm not sure that even the X can look that beautiful at the moment.
Well, flight sim on the PC was always a resource hog. So and running in that sort of graphical fidelity, it's going to take a beast.
Yeah, look, I mean, if it's that, it could be just a trailer, and we all know what trailers are like. They amp them up and all that jazz. But my God, the realism is incredible.
Yeah.
Anyway, then we got. I laughed my ass off when they announced this because we spoke about this in the last episode.
I cheered.
Age of Empires 2.
I cheered.
Definitive Edition. I was like, yes. So. The definitive edition has remastered audio and has 4K visuals. It's also coming with a bunch of new missions called the Khans, and it will be available this fall, so our spring. All right. Wasteland
Sign
3.
me up.
Yeah. Wasteland 3 is coming out. It's set in Colorado. I don't have a release date. That's about all I know. Then we were introduced to the fact that Double Fine is now joining Xbox Game Studios, and they're bringing out Psychonauts 2. So
now, are you a fan of Double Fine?
Look, if I had to sit here and say based on playing the games, no, because most of the games they brought out I haven't played. So, but that doesn't mean I don't appreciate what they do. So, I think I
appreciate what they've done. Niche-y. Yeah, they're not my cup of tea. The style and the games, like the amount of people that rage and absolutely love Psychonauts.
Yep,
I don't get it.
Yeah, look, it's its own little
their own little corner of the gaming market.
Yeah. Yep. So, look, for those that like Psychonauts, you've got a second one coming. Awesome. But on that, Double Fine have joined Xbox Game Studios. So that's another feather in Microsoft's cap. So that's good for them. Then another thing that I was super excited for, and to be fair, I've been waiting a long time for this, and once again, I was really happy that I saw it. Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga. It will have all 9 movies and all the games attached to them. So all the previous 6 that have already come out, plus 3 new ones. So it's got a release of 2020. I'm going to suggest it'll coincide with the release of the last movie,
which is Christmas this year.
Around. Then we had Dragon Ball Project Z, which is early 2020. It's an action RPG, and I watched the trailer, and I didn't get any of that from the trailer. The trailer literally was a montage of power-up moments and people just yelling each other's names.
Yep.
Which if you've ever watched an episode of Dragon Ball Z, you go, yeah, that's fair enough.
That's pretty much Dragon Ball, yeah.
Yeah, right. The next one was a new game. It was really interesting. I'm curious about this one. It's called 12 Minutes. So it is unlike anything I've seen before. It plays out as a very top-down view. I mean, like directly above. And it seems like the entire game plays out in one room. And you play, it's a little bit weird. Watch the trailer if this sounds something like you enjoy, but it's weird. It seems like it has some time shifting where it breaks up the story somehow in shifting from time to time. It introduces it to this man, this woman having dinner at the table. This woman is trying to give her husband or boyfriend or whoever he is a gift, and he starts just predicting what she's going to say, what he's going to give him, and then he starts talking about the fact that there's a person going to knock on the door, come in, and he's going to hurt both of them, and that if she doesn't do exactly as he says, there's a good chance that they're gonna die. And it's quite shocking, because it then cuts to them in moments where they're embraced in each other, loving each other, having arguments with each other, to then these graphically, and when I say graphically, they're not that detailed. I don't remember how exactly detailed it is, but it's not detailed enough.
No, but it was pretty full on, though.
But it's full on, where this dude is literally hurting these people, like he is torturing them. It's apparently a thriller. It's another one that I found really interesting and would definitely suggest you watch, even just for the experience of watching the trailer. It's quite an interesting concept. Gears 5 was next on the list, and everyone is super happy about that because they got a release date of the 10th of September this year.
Yep.
However, buy the special edition, or if you get Gold Pass Ultimate, you can play it early, 4 days early. I assume that is also because it will probably be on Game Pass. I don't know. That's what it says to me. They didn't stipulate that.
Well, anyway, it's an Xbox first party, so yeah, it'll come on Game Pass.
Then, following that, there will be a test of their new mode called Arcade, which is a multiplayer mode that will happen in July. So it's a tech test, and then they will show in August another new mode. It's a Horde mode. It's a couch co-op. It can be played couch co-op, or I think it can be played online co-op. It's 3-player. It's called Escape. Yeah, it's interesting.
Escape. How good did that Escape look, though? Like, just the concept behind it.
Yeah, it looks really good. So
you're captured by the enemy.
Well, I think they're intentionally.
You're intentionally captured.
Yeah, you're infiltrating the enemy, and then you are trying to undermine and destroy their base from the inside out.
Yeah.
So, and I assume it's kind of going to be a bit like a similar, I guess, concept to zombie mode in COD, but you'll have, you'll start at the inner sanctum of the prison or whatever, and you're just going to have to go to checkpoints and do things along the way while these hordes are just coming at you. So, yeah, that's what it seems like it's going to be like. And it's, like I said, a 3-player couch co-op. Now, if you pre-order this game or you played in the first week that it comes out, there is a Terminator crossover that's coming out after that, and you will be able to get it if you meet one of those 2 criteria. So that's Gears wrapped up in a nutshell. Then we had another thing that I was actually kind of excited about is we have a new Elite controller coming out. It's called the Series 2. It'll have 40 hours worth of gameplay in the battery. It has a new design grip. Hooray!
Hooray!
One that wraps around the entire thing, not just has a bit that's going to fall out 6 months after buying it. It now has 3 preset modes instead of 2. It has stick tension adjustment. So now when you pull the stick off, there's a little adjusting knob, and you can adjust how tight the sticks are. So you can make them looser or tighter, the way they move. And the case that it comes in, it also is a charging dock, which I thought was really cool. It was a cool idea. There was no
definitely a lot of tech in that. I think there has been a price leaked since, or 250 Australian.
Yeah, right.
Which I think the original started at that.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it started at that or was it just 200. I thought it started at 200, but either way,
I don't know.
For the extra tech in it, I suggest there's probably $50 worth of difference.
Yeah, I think so.
With the tech, I think, especially with just having a charging dock in the case alone. Like the case looks like the original one, only it's a charging dock. So anyway, it's cool.
And it comes with a rechargeable battery, which the original didn't.
Yes. So that's kind of cool too.
Yep.
All right. So then we had Dying Light. They said 2020 release, but I don't have any.
Didn't really see much new.
No,
from Dying Light 2.
Then we had another one for me. Forza Horizon 4. It's getting its Lego Speed Champions DLC.
This was another one for everyone.
It was. Everything is awesome.
Yeah.
So it's out now. I've already played it. I won't talk about it now. I'll wait for next week when we have time to talk about it. But I can say right now, it is actually super fun. So anyway, then we got State of Decay is now on Game Pass, and we had some interesting games coming up. We've had Phil talk about reaching new markets for them, especially in the sort of Asia region. So now we've got a lot of JRPGs coming through as well. So we've got Phantasy Star Online 2, which will be out spring 2020, so autumn, and it will be free to play apparently.
That is a massive online game. Massive.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah.
I think he was saying something like 60 million players. Yeah. Huge. Yeah. Huge game. Then they looked at Crossfire X, which apparently is like the biggest first-person shooter in the Asian region. Like it's like their COD. Only by the looks of it, awesome, better. So they're bringing out a new game based on that for Xbox. Then we got Tales of Arise, which is a new game for the Tales series. Once again, JRPG, Bandai Namco. It'll be out in 2020. We got a release date for Borderlands 3, which was the 13th of September this year. Then they also talked about Handsome Collection being on Game Pass. And then on top of that, there's a new expansion for Borderlands 2, and it's free if you have the Handsome Collection. So if you've got Game Pass, download Handsome Collection, download the expansion for free. Everything's free, if you can do it that way. Otherwise, you're paying. So, sorry. Believe it I think the Handsome Collection's free on PS4 at the moment with PS Plus. So
nice.
Either way, jump into it.
Then we had a announcement for Elden Ring, which so
it was just an announcement. Yeah.
It was just an announcement. But for those that don't know what it is a conglomeration of Bandai Namco, From Software, and George R.R. Martin working with Miyazaki of Dark Souls fame, and they're creating their own new world based on George R.R. Martin's new little fantasy world he's coming up for them with. So expect another kind of Dark Souls-esque kind of thing in a different world, in different setting, maybe a little bit more color. Who knows? Either way, it's going to be bloody and violent, and one more reason why George doesn't have to finish his books. Just one more distraction.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, then they finished the whole thing up with Halo Infinite.
Mm-hmm.
So we got a new trailer, which gave us a bit more story. Looks really cool. Go watch the trailer if you're interested in Halo. It's definitely worth a watch. What we did get out of it though is it'll be ready holiday 2020. So holidays next year.
Release title on the new Xbox.
And it's for the new Xbox. So it's going to be next gen. So good tidbits of information.
There's one more.
Did I miss one? Did I?
You did miss one.
After all that list, man.
After all
that one.
After all that list, you missed the breathtaking one.
Oh no! I said that I'd leave that.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm getting into it.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
We're
I
getting...
didn't miss it, did I?
No. Fine. Before we jump into the breathtaking game,
yes.
Skrill, welcome. He's jumped into the chat, and also Kaz is in there, but I'm thinking he's working. So, Cyberpunk 2077 gave us a new trailer. It wasn't really gameplay. It was a cutscene, so to speak, and looks absolutely stunning. The tech in it looks brilliant, very sci-fi, very, very fittingly. It kind of feels a bit like Johnny Mnemonic. And I said that ages ago. Yeah, it has that sort of feel to it.
But that movie is also a cyberpunk kind of vibe
yeah.
as well. It's a cyberpunk setting.
A lot of people maybe listening to this probably don't know what I'm talking about. It's a great movie. And then at the end, you wake up in a dump sort of thing, and who is there? Who is looking over you?
Neo.
Neo is there. Keanu Reeves.
John Wick with golden arms.
Oh, yes. And then Keanu walks out on stage. Everyone loses their shit.
So, Snoogs, one of the biggest actors in the video game world at the moment, and you decide to get his name wrong. It's not Keanu, it's clearly Keanu. Editing Lucas is very disappointed, but back to you guys in the studio that doesn't exist.
I may have.
Really? Did you lose your shit?
Not, well, I thought it took me by surprise.
Right.
I'm a big fan of CD Projekt Red. Right, I've played The Witcher 3 to its fullest. I've finished every bit of it, and I love what they do. Yep. So the fact that they've got Keanu, and, Radicus is right.
Oh, wow, it wasn't even just a one-time mistake. You actually think his name's Keanu. What planet are you living on? Oh, God, back to you guys.
He's one of the coolest actors out there.
And you don't even know what his name is.
He's a man that can do no wrong. He's come out on stage, everyone's lost it, and he seems genuinely excited to be a part of this game, which I thought was really cool. Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but they did show a little bit of gameplay. The gameplay itself hasn't quite sold me just yet. The game overall, and the fact that it's CD Projekt, I'm getting it. There's no two ways about it. It's coming home with me.
Yes.
But the gameplay, I'm still umming and ahhing about it. A lot of people are saying already it's going to be game of the generation, it's going to be game of the year next year, all that sort of jazz. But I'm still holding, I'm reserving my opinion until I actually get hands on it, which will be early next year. Is it March next year?
April 16th.
April 16th. There you go.
You said he can do no wrong. You guys clearly haven't watched The Bad Batch. That movie is terrible.
The which one?
The Bad Batch.
Never heard of it. Yeah, okay. I'll go on.
The Lake House. Just keep those things in mind.
Yeah, but The Lake House was his sappy movie. Let him have that one. The guy in the crowd that yelled out that he was breathtaking. That got a cheer. It got a cheer from Keanu.
Hey, and the crowd goes wild as Snoogs says his name correctly.
The guys from CD Projekt Red found out who that person was and offered them one of the special edition copies of Cyberpunk 2077 when it releases. So this is the one with the statue and everything, right? It's $400 and something in Australia. It's ridiculous, the price on it. But it looks schmick. This is where I was talking to you before, and I said, I've got a bit of a story for you. He's rejected that.
What?
Yeah. His intentions for rejecting it, I think, are honourable. However, his request is a little bit questionable. So what he's done is he's rejected it and said, I'll be buying the game anyway. What I'd like for you to do is donate to this charitable organisation XYZ. I don't know the name of it. I do apologise. I haven't been able to find it.
Yep.
The issue is that they've offered him, you know, let's call it a $400 special edition. That is, you know, theirs, so cost is going to be less than that. Mm-hmm. And he has suggested that they donate a go-kart to this children's charity.
Okay.
Motorised go-kart. So we're talking $5,000, give or take.
Yeah, okay.
So, you see what I mean? Honourable intentions, but questionable request. So,
I think more realistically, he should have gone, take the game, give it to the charity so they can auction it off to make money to buy a go-kart. To put towards a go-kart.
100%.
Maybe not just get them a go-kart.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, give it to them earlier. Let them, you know, auction it off for someone to play it early or something like that. You know, that would have been great. But well, from my position as well, a big shout out to Xbox Australia, myself, Lucas, Az, and Rocket Man. Can't remember his online name. Man. We went over to the Wetherill Park Xbox Green Carpet event, and it was quite good. But I have written up about it on the website, and I think a lot of people that said they were going to come didn't end up showing up. So it was very empty. It was one of those Lux cinemas, and it was very empty. And while the people that were there were fantastic, the Xbox guys that were there and the people that were at Hoyt's at 5 o'clock in the morning, that was all great. But, yeah, it needed a bit more people there to get the atmosphere, but we still had fun. It was an awesome start to the day. And then I was driving home and got home just as Bethesda started.
So, let's talk about Bethesda then.
Bethesda kind of started off... Well, did you notice there was a bit of an absence of Todd this year?
Oh, I didn't just notice it. I pointed it out to my own wife.
So, Todd came out and, of course, he was talking about Fallout 76 and the reaction that a lot of people had towards it. It has now gone into Season 2. They've released a game mode called Nuclear Winter, which is a battle royale, which I know you absolutely love the idea of. And moving on from that, there are now NPCs within the game. So their idea of year one, and I think I actually spoke about this at the time, was that when it first released, it was about everyone getting back out into the world. And I think I actually did say, I'd have to go back and listen to some old podcasts, that, you know, once the world's populated, I bet we'll see NPCs in. And now that's exactly what's happened. So they've got new quest lines, NPCs, and all this sort of information. So the good thing is that they've come out with this E3 and they're still supporting Fallout 76. Even with all the shit that's happened and all the problems, it's still there. It's still going on. So hats off to them for that, I must say. Ghostwire Tokyo. Did you... I didn't actually get to see much of this one.
Well, there really wasn't much to see. There was the trailer. There was the teaser, let's call it. It's not really a trailer. It was a teaser. Look, it looked interesting. It's set in this kind of version of Tokyo, and people are just disappearing for no particular reason. They just sort of vanish. Like, 1 minute they'll be there, next minute they're gone, and there's just a pile of their clothes on the ground.
They've been Thanos'd. They've
been Thanos'd, essentially. Only Thanos had the good sense to take the clothes with him. Whoever's taken these guys are like, no, we want you naked.
Yep.
So, and obviously it's your job to find out what's going on, and apparently there's going to be conspiracies, and you have to battle the occult, and there's a lot of Japanese, what's the word I'm looking for? Not mythology. Yeah, let's go with mythology. There's sort of that kind of Japanese mythology tied into it. So yeah, it looks interesting. At the end, there's a dude that looks like Archer of some description. Looks like he's going to shoot
Ronin.
someone. It's Ronin. It's Ronin.
to go with the Thanos theory.
Why can I not remember his name? The Archer in Avengers.
Hawkeye. Yeah, he talks, turns into Ronin.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
Hmm.
So yeah, look.
Excuse the rabbit hole. Yep.
Yeah, sorry, we really got lost in that one.
Well, mate, we got some information about Wolfenstein as well, and there's also a VR for Cyberpilot. I didn't actually see the VR one.
So it was a very short video.
Mm-hmm.
It was more just sort of video playing in the background while I was talking about it. Look, the idea is that you're a hacker and you're hacking into the Nazi tech and turning it on the Germans. So you're hacking into their robots and stuff like that, and obviously you're picking up like a computer screen of like their mechs and stuff like that, or their hellhounds or whatever, and you go around and just shoot up en masse Nazis, which is pretty much what Wolfenstein is known for. Killing Nazis. You'll get your 100 Nazi scalps in the first 30 seconds, I'm pretty sure.
Now, Young Blood as well, you're playing as BJ Blazkowicz's twin daughters. Apparently, if you buy the special edition, you will get a second copy of Young Blood to give to your mate to play co-op with. I thought that was a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, it is a cool idea.
Yeah. So it can be played singular and it can be played co-op. Yeah, I don't have a lot of information on it. There was just basic.
Look, once again, it was very short on the details.
Yeah, just a bit of game. Like it was just a bit of gameplay video.
And it's set in the 80s. So it's got a very 80s feel to it. I kind of like it. It's got similar aesthetic to without the neon as like Atomic Blonde. It's that kind of feel to it.
Yep.
Like I said, minus the neon. They've realized that everyone else is using neon this year, so they're walking away from it. But yeah, it's the music and the setting. It feels authentic. I have to admit. So even the font style, I'm like, that is so 80s.
The last two I've got here is Deathloop. Was just a trailer, not much information on that one.
But super cool. The only, from what I gathered, is there's two assassins on an island. They're obviously stuck in some kind of time loop, and one of them wants to keep the time loop alive, and the other one wants to destroy it. And essentially, for whatever reason, one of them, in the trailer, each one of them keeps killing the other, but the next day, they're back at it again, and there seems to be some sort of tension between them, and eventually someone's got to win, I assume. So, yeah, look, it's an interesting idea.
Groundhog Day with assassins. And last one on my list is, of course, Doom Eternal.
Yeah, look, how can we say?
Yeah, it's Doom. It's Doom, but it's better. I honestly didn't think that the gunplay in Doom could get faster and more hectic.
Amped it up.
You've got double jumps. You've got the grappling
thing.
Yeah, just all this extra shit that you can do, and it just does not stop. There's lulls, obviously, because you've got to be able to catch your breath. Otherwise, people are going to be passing out while playing it. But it's just one of that full on. It's Doom, but it seems they've really cranked it to 11 for this one, which is
some of the settings. I'm really interested to see how this plays out, because they said everything, the settings are you go from heaven to hell and everything in between. So we're going to spend some time in heaven in Doom. Go figure.
Yeah,
so that's pretty cool.
Bloody footprints on the cloud.
might change up the color palette. Let's dial down the red.
Let's just not do that.
Nappy sand, and let's whiten it up a little bit. Let's get the bloodstains out.
Alrighty. Anything else with Bethesda? Commander Keen.
Commander Keen, yeah. That's an interesting.
It's a no from me.
Look, it's not the original.
It's a mobile game as well.
Yeah. So look, it's an interesting reboot. I give them 10 points for creativity, but for anyone that's like the original, they're probably not going to like this. So yeah. Anyway.
Okay. On to Ubisoft. Whew. Let's just straight off the bat. No Splinter Cell.
I've been thinking long and hard about my feelings towards Ubisoft, or Ubisoft, whatever they're called. And even though there's a part of me that feels it's wrong to feel so damn frustrated, I deeply and completely accept myself and all my feelings about this. I hate you, Ubisoft. I hate you so much.
Yeah, I think I heard him from a couple of blocks away.
Yeah. I was waiting for it. I went to work early, and I got there and I sat down and I watched it, and I was just hoping and hoping and hoping, and then it just finished. And I was expecting it to go for another 10, 15 minutes, and I'm like, oh, okay, yep, okay, we're there, and then gone.
Yeah, and on top of that, I mean, in true fashion, they've just brought out another game with Sam Fisher in it, so...
Yeah.
It just seemed to be like going, yeah, we'll bring him back, just not
just not with. Yeah, they brought him out on mobile.
Yeah.
But the big one for the Ubisoft presentation was, of course, Watch Dogs Legion, which happened to leak the day before. But they showed off some gameplay. They actually showed off quite a lot of gameplay and actually got really into the nuts and bolts of how it was going. And it's very ambitious. And it looks, if they pull it off, it's going to throw a whole new dynamic into it.
Yes.
So what I'm getting at, okay, anyone that understands, the biblical, I suppose you would call it, in regards to, we are Legion. It's everyone and anyone. And so Watch Dogs, you can now jump between any character within the world, and you can use the attributes of that character to better suit you going forward and progressing the story. On a side note, though, if that character, like say for instance, there was one there that was an ex-assassin, and she was like a 70-year-old woman. One time when you're playing as a younger character, they can, parkour over things and run really quick. She's sort of teetering around and gingerly getting over something, and it's very well done. But she's also like a bit of a genius with the hacking side of it. So if you go along and you level her up to a point, and then she dies in, say, a gunfight or something like that, that character's gone. You can't use them. So you've got to be very tactical on how you build your Legion, how you get everyone working for you. And the whole setting is in, I think it's a post-Brexit London, sort of turned to shit, a bit of anarchy around. And
too soon?
Radicus reckons it looks ace. That's his game of the show. That's awesome. Radicus, being that you are a POM, mate, how did you like the POMmy colloquialisms in it? Because that's something that I really found was brilliantly done. It had that very British feel to it, the way that people spoke, and the little bits and pieces that they threw in there. It all had the right feel. What did you think of it, mate?
I haven't played the other Watch Dogs games. They haven't really been something that have sold to me. However, like I said, I agree. It looks very ambitious. It's going to be a solid game, I think, regardless. So yeah, look, it'll be fun for those that liked the other ones. This is going to be up your alley.
Well, mate, something you did play, Ghost Recon.
Oh.
Ghost Recon Breakpoint.
Oh,
the hunters become the hunted.
The game looks good. It looks like. Well, let's put it this way. Let me take a step back. It looks like I hoped Wildlands would be tactically. But then Wildlands, at this point, looked super tactical as well. But I think, considering what I've seen and how they've added to Wildlands, I think this is a solid promise. I think this is going to be a good, solid tactical game. I liked Wildlands. I think if you liked Wildlands, you're going to like this. It looks like it's Wildlands on steroids, especially tactically. It looks, the stealth, the environmental camo.
Oh, that absolutely blew me away. The fact that he's lying in a mud puddle, covering himself up in mud.
Yeah,
that was unbelievable.
Get me.
Come and get me. That, of course, launches on October 4. Have you signed up for the beta?
No, but I'll be doing that as soon as this show's finished.
Do it.
It's
I've
one of
done
those
it.
things where I was like, I need to do that, and I just haven't got around to doing it.
I have signed up for it. Looks like a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with Ghost Recon Wildlands. I just couldn't keep pushing the time into it. But mind you, it's still on my PlayStation. I still occasionally fire it back up. So many things. Roller Champions.
Yeah. So
Lucas has played this.
has he told you what he thought of it?
He said it was better than he expected. But
Yeah, a lot of people are saying it's a solid game.
yeah, there's some issues with lag and whatnot, being at the bottom of the world. But
Yeah.
that's to be expected. I think it was just a test run anyway. I'm not sure if you can still get it. I haven't looked on the Ubisoft store. It was only on PC for a little while. But yeah, it actually looks like a bit of a cool game. There's a movie called Rollerball that it was a remake of one from the 70s, and it's a bit of a guilty pleasure because it's just, I think it's got like Cool J. What's his LL Cool J?
LL Cool J. Any movie that's got LL Cool J is just like,
yeah, it's exactly that. It's like Deep Blue Sea. It's just
Deep Blue Sea
it's
and
bad.
Anaconda.
Yeah, it's bad, but it's a okay. I'm going to watch it. And I'm just looking. I'm looking at my DVDs at the moment, and it's just jumped out at me. Oh, here I am. Yes, I still have it. Yeah, so it's very much like that, and it's a roller derby.
So there's like a velodrome, and you are on roller skates, and you've got a ball, and there's like a sideways hoop off the wall on either side, and obviously you each have a goal, and the idea is to go round, and as you're going around, throw the ball through the hoop, kind of Inca football style, and in the meantime you can like tackle each other and shove each other and steal the ball and stuff like that. Look, I think it's going to be a solid competitor for Rocket League. I think that's really where it's trying to aim at.
I think that's where it's aiming, yeah.
Yeah, it's aiming to hit that head on. I think they're different enough where I think they can coexist, but yeah, I think that's kind of the market that they're trying to tap into.
There's a couple of things about, TV show that's a live action show.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Which is, what's it called? Mythic Quest?
Mythic Quest, yes.
Raven's Banquet. It's pretty much it kind of looks like The Office, but
based on a game developer.
Based on a game developer studio.
The development of this game, this new DLC called Raven's Quest.
Raven's Banquet,
Raven's Banquet for their massive online game, Mythic Quest. And yeah, it's all about trying to get that over the line, and the characters and egos that are involved with that. Funnily enough, watching the trailer, it harkened me back to that documentary I watched on Netflix about For Honor, and I'm like, I think this is going to ring it's going to be quite the parody, and it's going to ring. When you watch things and you watch TV shows based on, maybe occupations that you've had, and they're kind of a piss taking, you go, ooh, that cuts to the bone.
Yes.
Working as a public servant, I can't watch Hollow Man or what's the other one? The one that the same people do, but now the new one, Utopia.
Yeah.
That I sit there and I go, holy shit, that's literally what happens at work.
That's like me watching The Office.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so, it's just, oh my god, I've worked with those people.
I honestly think that's going to be quite entertaining. I think, anyway. But,
should be fun.
Time will tell. Yeah.
All right, mate. Gods and Monsters. Did that make any sense to you? Because it just, so many people are blown away by this game, and I don't understand it at all.
All right, so essentially it's a Greek version of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
If you look at it that way, that's it in a nutshell. The same people that made Assassin's Creed decided we're going to make a Zelda clone, essentially.
Okay.
So I'm not saying that like it's a bad thing. That Breath of the Wild is
a solid game. Yeah.
It's a solid game. It's a really good game. And if they can match that in any way with a sort of a Greek mythology tied to it, I think it I think it could be a winner, to be honest. So,
well, we only got a bit of a trailer, so there's more information to come out.
It was a teaser of sorts. Yeah.
All right. Well, on to the two that really are just for me. This is right up my alley. Both of these ones. Rainbow Six Quarantine. Thank you. Rainbow Six Siege is a fantastic game. I love it. The controls are tight. You know, the team killing in it. I'm not a big fan of what they've done now because accidents have very severe consequences. But non-accidents also have very severe consequences as well. So this is kind of looks like it runs on the same premise as Rainbow Six Siege, but it's a 3-player co-op PvE experience, and you're in a tactical fight against mobs and mobs of infected. You know, whether they're infected mutants, aliens.
But at the same time, it seems that you're also infected as well, by the looks of it.
Yes. So you know the first thing that I'm going to do, see how far I can push it. And maybe I'll turn on my teammates and... Yeah, it'd be great.
Is that team killing?
Yep, there it is. There it is. So that releases early 2020. There'll be more information about that. Apparently it's got the same operatives as Siege. So that'll be interesting how they tweak a lot of them because, you know, especially the defenders and whatnot. The attackers you could probably still use the same way, but the defenders will be... it might need to tweak some of them. Either way, I think it'll look awesome. And the last bit from me for Ubisoft is, of course, the updates to The Division 2. Now, we're getting 3 new episodes as the part of the Year 1 Pass. Year 1 Pass is free for everybody. If you bought the Year 1 Content Pass, I'm sorry. I've not heard a positive thing about it yet, but good on you. Episode 1 coming out in July. It's got new main missions and the ability to explore Washington, D.C., or outside of Washington, D.C. You've got a presidential compound and also the Washington National Zoo, which I thought was pretty awesome.
Episode University. What was that in the next one?
The next one is the Pentagon.
Oh, that's right. You got the Pentagon. And the last one's the university.
Last one goes back to New York, I think. Coney Island. Where you've got a hunt.
University in there. I'm sure there was.
Oh, that might be part of the presidential compound. I can't remember. Yeah.
Anyway, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. It's in there somewhere. Yeah, the episode.
Right? That's all you need to worry about.
Yeah, the episode 2's the taking back the Pentagon from the Black Tusk, who's the main, the really big, strong bad guys in this one, and that's another raid, which, I'm still yet to get through the first raid because every time my clan's on, I'm, being an adult. And episode 3, which is early 2020, I'm interested to see how this one plays out because you go back to New York to hunt down a rogue agent.
It's an interesting concept.
It's an interesting concept, and a lot of people are screaming for another version of the survival DLC from Division 1. I'm included in that. That was my favourite game mode, far above and beyond any other one in the game. So, by all means. There's also a Division movie coming to Netflix with Jessica Chastain and Jake Gyllenhaal, but we've got no details on when or when. All we know is it's coming to Netflix, so I'll get to see it. Woo!
Yeah.
Woo! The only other one that I've watched a lot of, well, I watched while it was on and got a bit excited for it, was the Square Enix one. But there was something... I don't have anything for the PC, unfortunately. I've got some various bits and pieces that we can go through if you like. And then I've got some details for Nintendo, but again, Nintendo's not really on the horizon for either of us. So I've got some information about it, or I've got the names of the games, but no real story to go with it because...
Yeah, once again, it was kind of one of those Lucas things. We know that he would have been all over it. We
so if
kind of missed it. So.
Yeah, so if editing Lucas wants to jump in at the end and talk about Nintendo, please by all means cut me off. It's all good. But some other stuff I've got some Sega stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So Phantasy Star Online.
Yep.
That's one you spoke about already, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yep. The Sega Genesis mini console.
Sure.
Coming in September. And on the Nintendo Switch, the Panzer Dragoon remake.
Right.
That rings a bell from way back when.
I know the name, but I can't think of the game.
What have we got? Just some various ones. Dead by Daylight's coming to Nintendo Switch. A new Super Lucky's Tale coming to the Switch via Playful Corp. Sakuna of Rice and Ruin. Yooka-Laylee. There was also Man-Eater, which I cannot wait for this game. Man-Eater's on PC, and it's about a shark. It's an RPG where you play a shark, and you go around and eat everything and anyone. The Witcher, exactly, Squirrel, is coming to the Switch. The full Wild Hunt Complete Edition, which I thought was cool. Contra.
Yes.
Contra's Anniversary Collection is being released by Konami.
Yeah.
And also something called Contra Road Corps, which is on Xbox One.
I was going to say, it sounds like a terrible mobile game version.
Well, this is Xbox One, PS4, PC, and Switch.
Nice.
So it could be all right.
Yeah, who knows?
Well, the last one I've got is Square Enix, apart from the Nintendo stuff. Final Fantasy VII Remake. You know, I dead set didn't know until last week that they're releasing this in chapters.
Yeah, me and Lucas burst that bubble.
Oh, you crushed me. Because from memory, Final Fantasy VII was across like 6 discs on the PlayStation. So that theoretically gives them 6 chapters to play with. So there's no information about when the chapters are broken up or how they're broken up. Are they broken up into worlds? Are they broken up into parts of the story? No one knows yet. All we know is we got a bit more information or a bit more visual of what it actually looks like. So we got some stuff with Cloud and all the others whose names escape me at the moment. And that it's being released in February next year. February? March. Again, haven't written that down. It was in my head until I started talking about it. We've also been told Final Fantasy VIII is now being remastered as well. These are all phenomenal games. They really are. The whole Final Fantasy world and universe. Like, I played most of them, but I did not finish any of them because they just got frustratingly difficult. And the turn-based combat originally was not my cup of tea. But the stories themselves are phenomenal. But I don't know why we're going back down the road. Final Fantasy VII, yeah, okay, that was a defining chapter. But 8, while it's good, who would have thunk it? Final Fantasy 14, the Shadowbringers DLC, which is an online MMORPG. Mm-hmm. Yep, that's the word I was looking for. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. There's a very niche group of people that will like that. I personally am not one of them.
Is that about cooking meth?
It could be. It could be.
It's like the Breaking Bad of that series.
I'm looking through my list. So I've got... There's a whole lot of other stuff which... The Square Enix one, I was there for 2 things. One being the Final Fantasy, which is what they started off with, and the other one being what they closed with. So a lot of stuff in the middle, I've got to admit I skipped over. So you've got Circus Superstars, War of Visions, Romancing Saga 3, Scarlet Grace, Dragon Quest Builders 2, Trials of Mana, and The Last Remnant Remastered coming to the Switch. Now, the last one, which for whatever reason I don't have here in front of me, but I know about it because it was my wow moment of the show. Even though now that I've had more time going over it, kind of feel a little bit less wow than I did when I first saw it. And that is, of course, the Avengers game. Dude,
that trailer was hopeless.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know what it is. Like, I just watched it and went, that was a cacophony of visual mess. It was like...
I think I know...
I don't know what I don't know what they were trying to do.
I've come to an opinion of why, when I first saw it, it was, yes, because I am a big Marvel... Well, I'm a comic book nerd. Marvel, through DC, whatever, love it. And the Avengers movies and the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe, I've spent the last 10 years absolutely pining over it. I love it. This has come out, and I enjoyed the release. Again, I was at work, I was at lunch, I was sitting down watching it. So it was kind of like oh, this is awesome, yeah, cool, okay, tweeted, that's my wow moment, and that was it, I left it. Went back to work, I was only watching it on my phone. Come home, sat down, watched it on the screen, on the PC, and started to lose that wow feeling. And I watched it a couple of times since. There's a unique story, which I think is fantastic. They're not just rehashing something that we've all seen or we've read or anything like that. So it's this new story. They've got all of your characters. Skrill has put something up in the chat, which is exactly where I'm going. The characters all have costumes that we see in Infinity War, but there's different people in them. And that's where I think, for me, I think that's where the twist sort of happens. Because I've spent, 10 years with these people and had this emotional connection, and you've seen, that visual is engrossed in you, and then there's someone else in it. So they're kind of like, the cover band.
This is what I thought when I first saw it, right? This is my impression of the characters. I saw Iron Man fly in, and my head went, this is after Infinity War, and I just realized that I may spoil this for some people.
Don't do it.
So if you don't already know, just skip, because I can't describe this without... I just realized I can't do it now. So maybe I should just let it go.
Yeah, probably just leave it. We won't spoil the end game.
Let's put it this way. I'll describe it another way. I thought it was a female.
Oh, okay.
His figure...
Just the way the armor is.
Yeah, the way the armor is. And then when it opened up and I went, oh, it's a woman with a mustache. Oh, that's Tony Stark.
That's right. Tony Stark. Okay. Yeah, I didn't pick any of that. I still saw them as they were. It's got a great voice cast. The voices that they've got in it is fantastic. The fact that it's its own standalone story is fantastic. There's going to be something there. It's just that, maybe between now and release, they'll tweak the costumes a bit. Because I know I'm not alone. With that.
I'm just going to put it out there. Based on that trailer alone, I wouldn't buy this game.
No, fair enough.
It was
I would. Yeah.
And I'm not just talking about the character models. I can get past that. And it was just the way they laid it out. Whoever did it had no concept of a storyboard whatsoever of what they were trying to do. It was just random images, and it was a mess, and it was hard to follow. And it was just noise. It was worse than Dragon Ball Project Z.
No, it was
shoutiness.
Not.
For shoutiness, it was. And it just flashed, and it was all over the place. And you're like, "Oh, that's the Hulk." Well, no, where'd the Hulk go? No, you just couldn't follow it. It was just a mess, in my opinion. That's just my opinion.
No, fair enough. Yeah, it's
and that's after I watched Devolver, and that was a massive psycho trip.
Well, speaking of, how about we jump into some Devolver with you, mate?
Let's do that. So, if you're going to watch it, I suggest you take some sort of sedative, because it's quite out there. It's worth watching, purely for the fact that the social commentary, Devolver decided that instead of doing a press conference showcase kind of thing like everyone else did, that they would do a Twitch stream and do a, as they called it, Devolver Direct. And it was really having a dig at some certain people by doing this.
It was not having a dig at a certain people. It was having a dig at everyone.
No, they did. They had a dig at everyone in this. Like, there is no faux pas that happened in the last 12 months in gaming or trend or whatever, bad choice, good choice, that wasn't parodied and literally put a mirror up to it and said, hey, look at this bollocks. Anyway.
Bollocks.
So anyway, they did this video. They did a whole, and it's very confronting. The beginning is very violent and confronting. They essentially, so the woman that did the show last year, who's, I think she's like the CEO of Devolver or something, or the head project lead, or so, I don't know who she is, but
apparently she's fake. She's not a real person.
She's probably not. She's an actor, but she's essentially become the face of Devolver. At these things. Anyway, they murder her at the beginning quite brutally. Right? She gets pumped with a machine gun, and I mean, there's bullets. It's very fake, but it's also pretty brutal. And then there's a image of her like choking on her own blood, and it's, what am I actually watching? Like, am I actually watching the press conference, or is this someone's
snuff film?
It's snuff film. Like, what am I watching? Anyway, it comes around. Anyway, essentially, they've created this parody where they're just taking the piss out of, or like they're essentially showing themselves going from this small sort of dev group that are all about the art of making games, and they're slowly evolving into a corporate monster kind of thing. And so all their trailers and teasers and stuff like that play out like, it's hard to describe. You can watch it. I'll just give you the rundown of what they showed. Some of them will be self-explanatory to the mindset, because I'm pretty sure whoever made the video is taking the same drugs as some of the ideas that they've had for games this year, or even just releases, not just necessarily games. Anyway, first one they showed is called Fall Guys. It will be available on PS4 and PC in 2020. It is literally, and I say this like it's a good thing because I love this show. If you've ever seen the show Takeshi's Castle,
yeah,
it's a Japanese game show where literally they get like 200 odd Japanese people to run a gauntlet of ridiculous obstacles, right? Usually designed to maim and hurt the people running them in humiliating fashion.
And humiliate them, yes.
Yeah, in only the way the Japanese can do, right? Essentially, they've created a game that that's what it is. And even the obstacles are literally pulled from this show. So the one where they've got to run through the multiple fake doors. If they pick the wrong one, they bounce off a pretty solid bit of plywood, and if they get the right one, they run through paper, kind of thing. Same deal.
I just had a visual. I'd forgotten about that one.
That is my favorite obstacle. So, and like all of them running across tilty floors and stuff like that, like the bunch. So essentially, it's this obstacle course. Last man standing, it gets to the end, wins the crown, kind of thing. Anyway, it looks really cool. I think I'll have a look at it when it comes out. All right, the next one that came out, and it said this is probably one that will kind of be a bit telling of where these guys' heads are at. They have got a new thing called Devolver Bootleg, which they're releasing on Steam. What essentially is they've taken 8 of their games, ripped off their own games, put them in a compilation, and are selling them for $5 on Steam. They have Enter the Gun Dungeon, which is a rip-off of Gungeon. Hotline Milwaukee, which is a rip-off of Hotline Miami.
Yep.
8-Bout Junior, Shooty Boots, Super Absolver Mini, Turbo Fighting Championship, Castlevania, Piku Biku Ball Stars, and Lufttrousers. So, like I said, this is where their heads are at. Yeah, it's available on Steam. I'm not sure if it's out now or soon, but
I will have a look.
Yeah, the date should be available. The next one they showed, which is one I brought up a few months back on the show, Carrion, is got a release date of 2020, so that'll be out next year.
Nice.
The next one is, I think this is a legit thing, but I also think this is their way of pretty much sticking a finger to the rest of the gaming community and saying, you guys are morons, but hey, two can play that game. They're bringing out a game called Gungeon, House of the Gun Dead, which will be a 2-player light gun arcade machine, an actual physical arcade cabinet that you can buy in 2020. And the game has the characters based on from their dungeon crawler Gungeon, and all the enemies will just mob the screen, kind of like House of the Dead, and you'll use light guns to shoot them.
Okay.
So obviously they're taking the mickey out of all the mini consoles that are coming out. They've decided they're going to upscale and bring out an arcade machine.
Why not?
Why not?
By the way, Devolver Bootleg is available. So all 8 games, $7.50. $7.50 for all of them.
Oregon, as Jamal would say. So the next thing they brought out was the Messenger Picnic Panic DLC, which is available on the 11th of July this year. They describe it as the perfect ninja vacation.
Perfect ninja vacation.
So the Messenger is a side-scrolling ninja game and it changes. It can be switched between 8-bit or 16-bit, and essentially it's a typical side-scrolling 16-bit sort of platformer kind of thing. Anyway, they've changed the setting to like a tropical beach paradise, and it's called Picnic Panic DLC. The last thing on their psychotropic journey of videoness was they gave a release date for My Friend Pedro, which is the 20th of June this year. So this Thursday. So by the time you're hearing about it, it's already out. So if you saw that and went, that looks like my kind of fun jam.
I've heard about this
one. Look it up. We talked about it. About 2 weeks ago. Me and Lucas talked about it. It's the guy that has the Hispanic banana, psychotic Hispanic banana as a friend.
Yeah.
That tells him to go kill people.
Yep.
I'm not sure how the control. It seems like a twin stick shooter, but
and you can jump and stylized and
yeah.
Coming 21st of June.
Yeah, so that's Devolver. Like I said, it's worth a watch just to see how batshit crazy these people are. It is cheesy, but at the same time,
but it's good fun as well.
The shots fired by these people, and it's scathing at times. It really is. Some of the shots they took at, say, EA and Sony, they didn't hold back. That was like, fuck you. No.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll run through the Nintendo stuff. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. New game and trailer released. I've played Breath of the Wild with my niece. Not enough for me to get a Switch.
Yeah, sure.
Luigi's Mansion 3. New trailer dropped for that. Animal Crossing New Horizon. A lot of people are absolutely in love with this game and got really upset that it's been delayed. Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. Are you a Pokemon fan?
Look, I have enough Pokemon fans in my house where I actually am just a Pokemon fan by default.
By default, yeah.
Yeah. So, by association, let's put it that way.
Yeah. It's me, no. I miss the Pokemon and the Digimon and the Dragon Ball, and I was just that couple of years in front of that, so didn't get any of those. We've got Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. Again, another Zelda game. I'm not 100% sure on that. Super Mario Maker 2. A lot of people are going to be cheering. Super Mario Maker was a big hit. Astral Chain, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, Cadence of Hyrule, Crypt of the Necro Dancer. That sounds intriguing. I might have to look at that. Fire Emblem Three Houses. I think that's a Pokemon thing again.
What, so Fire Emblem?
Yeah.
No.
No?
No, it's its own thing.
Okay. Dragon Quest 11. Echoes of an Elusive Age, Dragon Quest Builders 2, coming to North America via Nintendo. No More Heroes 3, with a 2020 release window. Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, Tokyo 2020. Resident Evil 5 and Resident Evil 6. I don't know how Resident Evil would go on the Switch. Could you imagine, like, you're holding it in your hand, you got the headset in, and then something jumps out at you and it's like, whoa! And then you need a new Switch.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Or if you're like me, when you freak out, you twist things, and I'd snap the bastard in half.
Yeah, it's sort of like, you walk across the house and go pick up your Switch.
Yeah, Squirrel, you need the Wii wrist strap. That's right. So that's Nintendo. I think that's pretty much, well, that is everything that I've got. Right, let's jump into some final thoughts and a bit of a wrap up on it. Anyone that's in the chat, if you want to put your final thoughts in, I'll read them out as well. So overall, mate, did you have anything that overly stood out? Anything that overly disappointed? Anything that was just, how you going?
I think the first thing that I noticed, and when I started thinking about, E3 as a big picture, was, man, Sony got panned. I don't think there was one group that didn't have at least whether it was a snide comment or an in-your-face "fuck you" to Sony. Everyone had a dig, as far as I could tell.
You know what, though? Like, I'm in agreement with you. Everyone did have a dig. Everyone said little remarks and whatnot throughout their keynotes or, in interviews and stuff like that. Yet, even Phil Spencer himself has come out after the fact and said that E3 wasn't as good because Sony wasn't there.
Yeah, of course.
For E3 to grow in the future, EA and Sony need to be there next year. And I think he's spot on. Sony, quite simply, didn't have anything to show off. They've got nothing new because they're in that end of cycle time. So that's fair enough. But everyone did have a dig, didn't they? It was quite good to see. A bit elbows out, sort of fun.
Having said that, I also don't agree because it's not like Xbox isn't in the rundown either. Like, they've got a new console coming out at the end of next year. Yeah, they're doing nothing but ramping up. Now, some would argue that they haven't done any ramping up for the rest of the cycle. They've just saved it up until the end. But still, that's a lot of momentum going into next gen. Yeah,
but the Xbox keynote for me was too rushed. It was like it was like this. There's been this whole stigma around Xbox and around Microsoft for the whole life of this generation. Xbox doesn't have exclusives. They don't have games. They've got nothing to play. This, and this. And now we've suddenly got this massive explosion where they've gone absolutely ballistic. And the last 2 years at E3, it has been, here's this game, here's this game, here's this game, here's this game, here's this game. But they're not actually releasing this wow content. Like they're showing off games from other people. They're still supporting their indie guys, and that's all fantastic. But they don't have, apart from Gears and Halo, which we all know about, and Halo's not even coming out on this generation now, or the next one's not. They don't have that big wow factor game. And
this year, I agree.
And
I agree.
That's where I think they've, there's such a thing with, it's just this machine gun approach. I think they could have slowed down, knocked back 15, 20 games that they didn't need to show off and expand on what they had.
Even with that, they still didn't have a big ticket item, which was they didn't have a Halo, they didn't really have a Gears, and they don't have a Forza.
Yeah, but and that's the thing. Like, if they didn't try to cram all this other stuff in, would they have been able to show off more Gears? Would they have been able to show off more Halo? The stuff that they showed was good, but it wasn't enough. There wasn't much in the way of gameplay. There wasn't much in the way of, a lot of it was just trailers. And that seemed to be the feel for the whole of E3. It was a lot of trailers. They very much outweighed the gameplay stuff that they were showing.
Yeah, I won't disagree. I think Xbox phoned it in, to be honest. If you want my honest opinion, they phoned it in.
Yeah.
Like they didn't have any drive. Sony not being there meant that they could actually knock it back a gear and phone it in because they really didn't have the main competition there. They just had to show up, and they were still doing better than their competition in the eyes of the people
the masses,
who were coming.
Yeah.
Having said that, I'm still happy with what I saw in some of those games. Like, I got to see Outer Worlds. I got to see some stuff I wasn't expecting. Like, I'm really excited for Crossfire X. That looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
So while there was no big centerpieces, there was no big wow factors, there was still some nice gems in there, and I'm happy with the outcome. But I agree, they phoned it in, and there's a bunch of other issues. It's not just Sony being there, not being there. It's also this new trend of showing shit way too early.
Yes.
So we get things like we're going to see Ori for the 4th time at E3 next year. I put money on it. So for 4 E3s now, we've been watching Ori and the Blind Forest and essentially just watching slightly more extended teasers and trailers of the same shit for 4 years. It was the same with Ghost Recon Wildlands. That game was shown for 3 years in a row before it came out.
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
For Honor. For Honor was also another one. It had a long cycle. Less, I think it was 2, which I think is acceptable. I think 2 is okay. Now I say that. That's probably a bit harsh on For Honor. 2 years is good. Teaser, and then all-out war the next year.
Yes.
So, it was like last year with Elder Scrolls 6. That was a waste of time. They could have saved that for this year. They could have.
100%. And Starfield as well.
Considering, and the same with Starfield. They were literally time kills. And you know what? They should have saved them for this year, because then they would have had something to get people amped up about instead of Todd Howard just coming out and saying, sorry, in this long and protracted way without actually saying the words sorry, and then disappear off stage when we all know that every other E3 he spends as much time as he can on, and spends all his time literally going, no, it's all right, I'll show the world everything for Bethesda. Now it's like, no, we've got these guys, creative leads, the guys that you can't be angry with because it's their baby. They're going to come out and explain what the game is. As much as I don't want to tell Bethesda how to dig themselves out of a hole, because I think they deserve to be there, that's how they should have done it. But anyway.
No, that's fair enough. Well, my big thoughts are very similar. Radicus has put in the chat that the whole thing felt a bit meh.
The whole thing felt underwhelming.
It did feel a bit underwhelming, and especially, considering the big hype that I felt in previous years, I didn't feel that this time around. I felt a little bit let down by a few things, but then again, there were those gems that we saw that we hadn't seen before, we didn't know where they were coming from, and it was a bit of a, oh, wow, that's a really good idea. That's really clever. The stuff like the Blair Witch or 12 Minutes, Doom,
Yep.
Doom. I'll watch bits and pieces of Doom till the cows come home. It's just good fun. I got to see my Division stuff, which is what I wanted. And, of course, Ghost Recon. I loved Wildlands. Breakpoint will be another one that I'll enjoy. The big push on this streaming service, I'm not for that at all. But before I jump into that, Skrill's final thoughts: Keanu won E3 and his wallet will be very sad next year. Yeah, I kind of got to agree with you. The fact that the Keanu was there, that blew a lot of people's minds, and it was a good sort of left-of-field thing to come in with Cyberpunk. But getting back to that, the streaming service. Now, I was having a bit of a read into it after it come up, because gaming's my hobby. It's my passion. It's what I enjoy to do. And like anyone, I'm not a real big fan of change when the change, I cannot see it being beneficial to myself. So having a look at these streaming services and whatnot, it doesn't do it for me. I've got no interest in it. When I was having a look into the speeds that they're all talking about, where 25 megabits a second, you'll be fine for your streaming service. 25 to 30 or even to 50 megabit a second, that is what the majority of Australians that are on NBN are on, that sort of mark. They're in that 25 to 50 megabits a second. So if you're doing a streaming service that's taking up 25 to 30, that's close to 85 to 100% of your bandwidth. The bandwidth, if you ever actually go and watch your bandwidth, you get peaks and troughs all the time. It's constantly fluctuating. It's not a nice steady line. So if you're using up 100% of your bandwidth, your game is going to run like dog. It's just going to be all over the place. When you talk about someone in the US where the average speed is 100 to 300 megabits a second, you'll think you're using between 10 and 25, 30% of your total bandwidth. That's why it runs smoothly, because you don't that peaks and troughs gets taken out of the equation. So Australia is still a long way off for it, and me personally, I'm not interested in it. I'm not interested in paying for more pay-as-you-go services. I would just like to see that game that I enjoy. I was not all for Xbox Game Pass. Mine runs out very soon, and I don't think I'll be renewing it. But it has proven itself. It's proven itself to be worthy. Just doesn't work for me. I don't play my Xbox enough. I think that whole push, there seemed to be a big push on streaming services and a big push on mobile, which is just probably where, my brain kind of switched off a little bit too. Didn't listen to a lot of it.
Yeah. I think another interesting thing that came out of E3, especially about streaming services, and I think correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was in the Bethesda showcase.
Mm-hmm.
They had, was it Orion? Which was
I think that's what it was called.
Yeah, no, I have to look into it a bit more. It sort of made sense when I was watching it, but forgive me, it's been a week ago, and I don't remember the specs, and I don't remember exactly what it was they were touting, but essentially they were talking about the fact that instead of, like most streaming services, they try and use just more brute force and power to get their stuff. So in server space and stuff like that, they've come up with a way of something. It's a software solution which it gets built into the games, and therefore actually it allows them to run on less bandwidth than you would expect without losing the quality of the game. So you can run 4K at very low bandwidths and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I'm interested in the technology behind it, because let's face it, it's the technology. I'm a bit of a tech head, but the actual service itself, it holds no value to me personally.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. I mean, it's just another thing that we have to pay as we go, and I get the shits with just my TV at that rate, because it's gonna come to that. It's gonna be, I need to get the one that Xbox is on if I want to play these games. But then, EA will definitely come out with their own, So if I ever want to play an EA game, I'm going to have to subscribe to them. And then I find that, all of a sudden I'm paying $10 a month to 26 different people. And that's just not...
It's just not viable, yeah.
It's just not viable. So, you're right. It's just another way to eke every cent they can out of people. And they make it sound like it's cheap, but in the end it ends up being more expensive for the consumer, because you'll end up having to sign up to a bunch of different services to get all the games that you want. So, but look, it's, as much as they like to say that it's coming, I think it's still a little bit off. It's probably closer in the US than it is over here, but for it to be here 100%, where it's replacing the way we play games now, I think that's a little bit further off.
Until I at least get arthritis in my thumbs. Which I've already got it in my knee. Oh, well. All right, mate. Well, if that's it, that's it for the show. A nice big wrap-up of E3.
So, all right. So I have to ask, what was your game of the show? You put Fallen Order, didn't you?
Well, Fallen Order would have been, except it was released beforehand. So I'd have to... Well, other than that, I did enjoy the Marvel one, Avengers. But even, like I was saying before, that it's just kind of all rolled into one. There's no real standouts, except, again, for Maneater, because that just looks like a butt ton of fun.
Hey, look, your pick is your pick, mate. It doesn't matter if it's like the A-grade game or the B-grade game or the Z-grade game. It's your pick. Whatever speaks to you is the one that's gonna... So, like, for me, there's, like, a bunch of stuff that I was happy to see, but there's stuff that I already knew existed, and while I may not have known it was going to be shown at E3, like Carrion, I'm getting that game. That's amazing. But I think the surprise, I wouldn't say this is my game, this is my game and show, but the surprise one, the one that I didn't know existed even, Crossfire X. I'm really amped to get. I know I've already said this already, but yeah, I'm really excited to see how that plays out, because I think it's coming into a market that I think is pretty stale.
Yes,
which is the first-person shooter. People are getting pretty fatigued. The general population is getting pretty fatigued on the cycle of Battlefront and COD. I think personally, obviously, there's still the diehards that are gonna get everyone. They love it, and that's fine. I don't know. But I know for me, I'm fatigued on them. A version of it that's been so popular obviously has some sort of twist on it to engage a different market so heavily. I'm curious to see how that plays out. So look, it could fall on its ass, and that's fine. It's it was my surprise one. Let's put it that way. Obviously, games that obviously Fallen Order was high up there. Cyberpunk 2077 is another one that's high up there. I'm definitely getting that game. I can't wait for Lego Star Wars to come out. That's going to be great. But
see, I've played them all. I actually think I've platinumed the first 4.
Well, I've got the last one, which had all 6 in it, and like when they brought out 7, I was like, no, I'm not buying it. I'm not playing it.
I've got 7.
Because I bought the original trilogy, the Lego Star Wars trilogy. I played it, finished everything there was to do, and then they brought out the double saga, and I was like, oh, I've got to get that. And so then I ended up having to play the original trilogy all over again.
Yep.
And finish it again because I couldn't not. Well,
this
means I'm going to
twist
play
my
it for
arm.
the third time.
Yeah.
Yeah, twist my arm, but now I'm going to have to play it for a third time and play the original, the newer trilogy a second time, which is a little bit harder. But still, it's Lego. You know how bad that first movie is. It's so bad that even Lego can't save that shit.
Don't you get to play as Jar Jar, don't they?
Yeah, you do. I choose not to. So I'm refusing to play them, so I can play them all in one big hit. So I can't wait. I think great. It'll be the last time I buy Lego Star Wars, I think.
Skrill,
until they bring out some more.
I think they are like the first 7 are remastered, and I think 8 and 9's a new game. So either way, they'll be fun. That's it, mate. I think.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
Do we have like most disappointing award?
No.
I'm trying to cover all the bases.
No. Well, I don't really have a most disappointing.
Sony not being there.
Yeah.
That was a cheap shot.
No. It's their presence was definitely missed.
Yeah.
And being that, I am a self-confessed Sony fanboy. I play on everything, I enjoy everything, but my heart is with PlayStation. That's where I started. Yep. It's just how it is, really. And the fact that they weren't there, that did leave a big hole for me personally. But I would have liked to have seen some more Elder Scrolls 6, even a name.
Yep.
What are they going to call it? What world? What part of the world is it going to be in? Where is it still?
Yeah,
following on from Skyrim. Just some detail. I would have liked to have seen that, but I kind of understand too that Bethesda's going to be closed doors on it because it's not going to come out this generation. That's a given.
Yep.
And yeah, other than that, like the whole thing, it wasn't overly exciting, but it wasn't overly disappointing either. Like, it wasn't disappointing at all, really. These are all, people have poured their heart and souls into this, and hats off to them. Thank you for showing them off. There's some things in there that aren't for me, but they're for someone else. So, I'm pretty cool with just about everything else. With everything I saw, yeah. I still don't know why they're remaking Battletoads, but you get that.
Dude, I don't know why they remake Commander Keen as a mobile game, but
yeah.
Actually, you know what? That for me, I'm going to give that most disappointing game.
Commander Keen on the... Yeah, I didn't really pay attention because it was a mobile game. Though I'm playing the original Lemmings on the mobile at the moment, so I should probably have a look.
I'm sure there's some sort of elitist comment I can make here, but I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah, leave it alone. It's... Yeah. All right, well, let's wrap up the show. Thank you very much to everyone that's listened to the show, and especially those that are still listening this far along. A super special thank you to our live listeners, Kaz, Radicus, and Skrill. Thank you for being a part of the show. Greg, thanks as always, mate.
Oh, my pleasure.
Welcome, and hope you had a bit of fun talking about E3 for 2019. Lucas, thanks for all your bits and bobs that you do in the background, and I hope the little one's feeling better. To all of our listeners, let us know what you thought of E3 this year. I'd love to hear a bit about it. Feel free to continue any of the topics we've discussed on the show on our Facebook page or on our Discord channel. If you want to get in touch with us directly, you can shoot an email at info@theagexp.com. Don't forget to hit up our website, www.theagexp.com. Links are in the podcast show notes and description wherever they're found. That's all from me. As always, I've been Snoogs.
And I have been Grejio.
See us.
Ooh, okay, that's the end of this week's podcast. And if you found yourself shouting at your speakers in disgust or maybe even in pleasure, make your way over to our Discord server and make a comment in the appropriate channel. Failing that, you can also have your say over on our Facebook page, or you can just tweet at us. Searching for the Aussie Gamers Experience will usually lead you in the right direction, but you could just use the set of links that are in the show description. This podcast is available through Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, iHeartRadio, and plenty more. Thank you very much for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode of the official podcast of the Aussie Gamers Experience.